10,
9, 8,
7,
6,
3,
2,
1.
0.
Alright. Welcome in. I am realizing just now that the audio input is a little bit messed up, so I'll be fixing that before the game starts in just a moment. But introductions here. I'm Notgollum, everybody's favorite caster commentator. I've been a little bit off recently. Haven't been commentating and casting quite as many matches recently as I would like, but we're getting back into the swing of things once again with a very nice Dasher tier match that is UNSC versus Supernova. And of course, for those paying attention, we are in the third cycle of this season. That means we're going to be playing Abyss, Volcano, and hopefully, if it gets to it, a Stadium. Supernova has been on a roll recently, especially considering their past history. They have been performing quite well for a Dasher tier team. There is something to be said, though, for UNSC, who, if I've been counting right, has yet to lose a match this season. That is a tall order to overcome, but who knows? Maybe Supernova is going to pull something out and be the first one to dethrone the thus far Season 7 Kings, UNSC. And we will wait and see. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and balance the audio. I will be right back, everybody. And there we go. Welcome back, everybody. We are back in business with proper audio. So be sure to let me know if, for some reason, the audio needs some reworking. I'm not above working on the audio a little bit more if y'all can't hear anything for some reason. But I will be getting back to it. Over on UNSC, we have all 5 of their players currently in the lobby. We have Sandman, Taser, Destroyer, Rusty, and a Crusader VR. Over on Supernova, in the red corner, we have Spud, AJ Black, Ghoul, Hog Rider, Bill Lumberg, and Push. This is quite the powerful roster from UNSC, Destroyer being a pretty recent addition to the team, and Rusty being a little bit less recent, but still recent. Both very skilled players within their own right. Supernova is going to have themselves locked in order to take this match. I give them potential for taking this first map here. That said, if they do have their strategy locked in, Abyss being the newest payload, not very new, mind you, although new relative to how long many of these players have been in Hyperdash, it means there's some opportunity for trying out new things strategically and discovering new ways to pull attention away from the objective. That said, Crusader VR over on UNSC is known for being either the most or second most focused kart rider in Dash League, behind, of course, yours truly, Notgollum. I'm very focused on that objective, but regardless, freeing up a lot of opportunity for the rest of the teammates over on UNSC to focus on the killing and the clearing of the way, having somebody they can trust on that objective. Very important for a payload. And having somebody who's going to be focused on that objective for the whole time that they're in that match, having a main kart rider, very, very important. And over on Supernova, I'm not sure which player that is going to be for today, but they're going to have their work cut out for them. Push, very, very solid Rocketeer. I'm sure UNSC is going to be trying to target him down, and he's going to have to play pretty tricky. But if the rest of his teammates, while they're on the red side, can clear the way, I'm sure they can get a decent amount done with explosives. It's going to be a lot of peeking in and out of cover, assuming UNSC doesn't get several successive team wipes that just clear the way for the cart to move forward. One thing I'll point out, this map, of all the payloads, is the longest, and especially has the longest, I'm not sure what most teams call it, but early section of the map. And the more players you have riding the cart, the faster it's going to be going. It's not a huge amount. I think it's like 10, maybe 20% per added player, up to 3. And the cart doesn't move if you have the red player on there, for those who aren't aware. But stacking in those early parts of the map on this map can actually be surprisingly helpful, and teams that are able to utilize that cart stacking tend to meet with greater success because they have more time in the later halves of the map, close to the checkpoint and in towards the 80% and plus distance of the map to work with, more time to work with, to get some distance, to get a decent team wipe and start pushing that cart if they're on blue. Meanwhile, on red, if you're able to get flanking positions on the cart, one on the far side, whatever the far side is of the cart, and then just continually reinforce from the close side where the blue team expects you to come from, that can cause a lot of distraction and disruption in most teams' coordination around the objective, especially if somehow you're able to get into the early part of the map. It makes leaving spawn really difficult, and there's lots of little hidey areas on this map that players can duck into. I'd say not quite as many as, say, Canyon, that has a lot of hidey spots that are very out of the way for the cart pushing. But even still, this is such a huge map that using those alleys behind the cart as red to your advantage can really be helpful in pulling attention away from some of the quicker routes that blue team can take towards red team's spawn and start a spawn killing and holding red team back from even seeing the cart. I'd also say of the 3 payloads, this is probably the most difficult one for a Rocketeer to play on. It's still very important that a Rocketeer finds a way to do their job, or in some other way that does their job, maybe even without rockets in clearing the cart. But because this map is so large and there's so many long distance sight lines to look through, it's going to be a difficult life out there for Rocketeers that can't be fully protected by the rest of their teammates while on the red side. You're funny, M-dubs. Crusader VR is the cart goat. Well, I'm just gonna have to go ahead and ignore that, because who got peak cart ride time last season? Was that Crusader, or was that Notgollum? Yeah, that's what I saw. Push rockets are very good, Flash. You're right about that. That's why I had to mention that earlier. If he can live long enough to use them and get in a good position to use them and not get flanked from the early water room area that I'll be pointing out to those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. That is a classic position that blue team will rush rockets from in the pre-checkpoint. If he doesn't get pushed there and the rest of his teammates can block that position as the cart starts to approach that hill towards the checkpoint, there's some decent time to be held there, even just by a Rocketeer and the rest of the teammates rushing forward, not even doing anything in particular in their own right. Supernova is down one teammate right now. I'm sure they're going to be getting that player back before we have to go ahead and start this match, though. And I am curious if they're switching out a player for this map. OGM dubs can be funny, just every once in a while, as a treat. Hog Rider. Right. Hog Rider's a very solid player over on Supernova, a great addition to the team. So it's a surprise to not see him in the match right now. Maybe there's some sort of connection issue or something, and Supernova's just trying to play for a little bit of time. There is a time limit here. They got to get their 5th player in before the 15-minute mark, or else UNSC can get this first map, and that'd be pretty unfortunate. Everybody wants to see a map played. This match should be starting sometime in the next 2 minutes. There we go. We've got Hog Rider back in. I'll go ahead and give them the classic cast signal of bouncing up and down. And we will get started with this match shortly, everybody. Let's take a look at the setup for Supernova. Hog Rider going to be grabbing that first dash there, push, making their way down the main rail, grabbing rockets, as I suspected. AJ, Bill following up behind Spud, grabbing shotguns, and the second dash probably going to be hiding closer into this water room here.
3, 2, 1.
So let's take a look at all these hidey spots. Bill, watching the water room, gets flanked by Rusty. A lot of teams not quite ready enough for that water room flank, which I think is slowly but surely starting to become standard practice here on Abyss. Oh no! And push does go down. Let me also turn off this on-dead switch to teammate. There we go. Now we're good. Sandman already in the flank does get killed by 2 players there waiting, but Taser in the back line going to punish any sort of overeager slow walk forward. Takes out Spud as well. The entire front line for Supernova is down. Destroyer back in the flank once again, watching that main rail, trying to kill reinforcements, but a good headshot, charge shot out of Bill is going to end that forward momentum and allow the rest of his teammates to follow up as he moves forward, trying to pull some attention. This is the close, fast route that blue team can take that I was talking about earlier that the Rockets are going to have to look out for later. Rocket grab does miss the cart though, and in trying to bring that back, does stand out in the open for just a little bit too long. Gets taken out. UNSC still riding through that water room. Crusader 1 tap. I'm not sure if red team is aware of that though. No. Now he has that health back. Hops back on the cart. This double stacking, exactly what I'm talking about. Gotta make up time as early as possible, as much as possible. Good kill by Push there. Grabs the rocket, but has no teammates in front of him to pull fire. Gets taken out as a result, and all these Supernova players are dying one by one. They're occasionally able to take out flanking players like Sandman and Destroyer and Taser, but it's just a little bit too much. The cart has not stopped since the beginning of this map, and UNSC is making great time up this hill. Push gets flanked by Sandman, who then kills Hog Rider, makes his way back to the cart, tries to look back, teammates take care of it, and now is contending with an SMG shield. No, a pistol shield it looks like. decides to take cover instead, and the rest of UNSC pulling forward as the cart continues to fly forward up this hill. Sandman still alive. The cart has now turned that last corner, making its way towards checkpoint. This is a very, very rapid pace. AJ missing that third kill there does eventually give it to the teammate and is now going to try and prevent UNSC from grouping up, but UNSC has already had more than enough time to start getting into the flank and grouping up here. Sandman trying to pull a little bit of fire, takes out Hog Rider with that nice bait, and the rest of his teammates now starting to rush in. The cart is going to start moving soon. The shields, though, pulling a lot of attention, doing work, and the rockets are still alive from Push. Push does get a kill, but gets taken out by Sandman, who eventually goes down. Hog Rider is the last man standing, along with AJ. Can they keep back the blue tide? Taser pulls a very nice bounce shot kill there, and the rest of UNSC is going to fly forward. Good shielding on that objective. The shield does go down though. Spud trying to pull a little bit of fire, so hopefully the rockets can get something done, but the rockets are dead. They've been dead for a while, and checkpoint by UNSC at 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Push already in the flank with a rocket. Does miss that first rocket. That's going to cost him, because that's one more player alive on the cart now looking for him. And he gets chased by Sandman because the cart is not far behind. It's pretty easy to reinforce the rest of your blue team buddies when you're at the flank like that, and when the cart is so near to the flank as well. Rusty and Crusader stacking that objective in this early part. Like I was saying, they absolutely should be. Meanwhile, the fight in the Jelly Room, or Steve Room, as I like to call it, has been going on for quite a while. Good kills out of Sandman there, trying to call out when the flank gets pushed. Hog Rider able to make it towards that objective, but does get taken out at the end there. And now it is just Sandman here in the Jelly Room going for a flanking maneuver. Bill, unaware, moving forward through that C room, trying to help out his teammates who cannot get past this blue wall. Good peek by Rusty as well, going for a little bit of a forward active defense of the cart, which is still continuing to fly forward dutifully. Is Crusader riding that objective. AJ does get one kill, expects that second, takes out Taser as well. Good headshot there. This is his opportunity, and turns around for one more kill when he could have tried to pull some attention off of the objective. Looks like he was trying to help his teammates to move forward, but Rusty now able to pull red team away from that forward movement. Push with a blind behind the back rocket takes out Rusty, but Sandman does not let him revel in his victory. Instead goes for yet more flanks. Sandman has been hiding behind enemy lines constantly. Is going to be forcing Supernova to be spending an inordinate amount of time turning around, trying to look back on that objective, and that is eating up a ton of time and attention that Supernova cannot afford to waste at this time. The cart only getting stopped, I think, for the first time briefly. No, well, first time briefly in the post checkpoint, and maybe just the third time in this entire map. No shields easily within grabbing distance of Supernova, and those rockets are down already. Some pretty nice rockets out of Push, and a secondary Rocketeer has come up to try and hold the mantle, but alas, it is not enough. The front line by Supernova just can't seem to get it together. UNSC's disruption is too disruptive, as it were, and they are starting to get towards the final stretch of this map. Rusty spots those rockets, does get taken out by Bill, but arguably taking out those rockets is much more important than your own life when you are blue and you're not the main cart rider. Good kill by Sandman, once again waiting for the rest of his teammates to follow up. Pops off that cart briefly, was just trying to let the attention flow somewhere else because he is low health. The cart still moving forward. Almost all of UNSC was alive there. Spud trying to pull heads and turn necks away from that cart and back behind, but Rusty's aim is too nice. Good long distance headshot, and now feeling confident with some dashes and still half health, moves forward, gets taken out by Push, but the cart is still pushing. Push does miss that first rocket because of a nice rocket dodge by Crusader, but Crusader does not have enough dash left. And now Push is playing for his life, but Sandman locked in. Push did not have the dashes to dodge. Didn't grab that point dash that Sandman just took. Could have maybe stayed alive, but it's going to be a tall order because this is a fast route that UNSC can be taking here through that rail area, and some good double kills by Rusty almost allows him to get some more movement on the cart. We are at 4 minutes and 30 seconds left, and Supernova has struggled to set up any sort of a full coherent defense. UNSC has more or less been able to take this jelly room for free. They are facing a little bit of counter push by Supernova that is slowing their roll slightly, and that's absolutely what Supernova needs to do. But still, UNSC is able to get through that flank and cause a ruckus like Taser did just then. I think Supernova is starting to adjust their positioning around it, and AJ does take out Sandman running that carpet. Every little micro push that Blue gets is bringing them closer to the 100% mark. They are already less than 10% away, and Crusader is still riding that objective. The Rockets are alive, and some tricky rocket movement out of Push is going to give a little bit of time to his teammates. Good blind rocket into the abyss, and kills the cart post-death. Now it's just Rusty and one other teammate left alive. Destroyer has been taken out, and Rusty is riding. Good double kill there. Bill ends his streak before it can fully begin, but Rusty was on a 4-kill streak there, and it is Bill with the rest of his no-dash teammates trying their best to follow up. Supernova really needs to keep that quick route through the flank area into the rafter away from UNSC. They've been using it way too well. Rusty, good long-range kill there, wins the fight, looks for the rockets. Spud, still alive, takes out the cart, but the cart did get a decent amount of movement in the meantime, and Destroyer gets the final kill. No! That is not the final kill. The cart is still moving. Sandman, good double kill there, and UNSC desperately trying to get that last third of a percent, less than a third of a percent, a quarter of a percent left until they reach that 100 mark, and Supernova is trying to hold on as long as they can, like their life depends on it, because their MMR certainly does depend on it. And Spud, just one dash behind, not able to stop that flank. Blue team gets 100%. 2 minutes and 37 seconds left. Supernova is going to have a difficult time even making through this checkpoint here. There is an opportunity, of course. They don't have to make it through at the same rapid pace that UNSC did, but things are looking grim for Supernova's chances of winning this match, to say the least, let alone making it through that checkpoint, which is ultimately, I think, their goal here, going up against these Titans. And in Taser's case, a pretty ridiculous player here. Sandman, though, going 43 and 20 only so far in this match. Immediately, AJ takes out Taser. Sandman watching that health room. Supernova so far just staying very close to the objective, and now trying to pull attention away. Sandman almost taken out, does get that kill with the shocks and the health, and now is able to move in on the cart that is currently being harassed by Destroyer. Destroyer taken out. Lots of individual one-at-a-time move-ins onto the objective. I wonder if that's going to work out in the end. So far, Sandman making it work. Good double kill there with the shocks, and nobody left alive to chase him. Supernova was trying to keep some decent momentum on the objective here, but Sandman's still alive with those shocks. And there are no blue players left on the objective. They can't stack this early while they know shocks are alive. Sandman ignores that fight, grabs the dash instead, and gets a near double kill. One tap away. They know he's right there. He does get one kill. Another kill. Blind to his left. Sandman is on a 9 killing streak right now. Moves in towards the objective and has teammates reinforcing him now. These double shocks are working out fantastically for the man in red. Gets another kill off the wall. Sandman on an absolute tear. I think it might be about to end soon, but he does get that health and has teammates moving in on the objective. Gets another kill. Double kill there. Can it turn into a quick triple? Currently on a 12 kill streak. Barely doesn't take out the cart, and that lack of a last dash is the end of that streak. But what a streak it was. The cart is 4 minutes and 25 seconds left. Only just now starting to peek into that water room. And normally you'd want to be towards the bottom of that hill, almost towards the bottom of that hill at around this time, and they are just now starting to enter the straightaway towards that second corner here. They are well aware of this fact, as they are really trying to focus on gaining ground. I think they need a little bit more of this flanking maneuvering that Spud is doing, but a lot of these UNSC players know just exactly how, where, and when to dash to skip that frontline defense that makes Abyss so difficult to push, both as the cart rider and as the defenders as Red. We can see Crusaders starting to set up with rockets, and UNSC knows that the momentum is in favor of Supernova, but now UNSC looking to change that, moves in towards that objective, and Crusader gets a kill on the cart. Supernova knows those rockets are alive, does still have maybe one player left alive, but those rockets are not going to be easy to push anytime soon by the team in blue. I think they just need to suck it and try their best to take out all the players that are near the cart first. Maybe bait out some of those rockets, try and dodge them if you have the dashes to afford for it, because pushing into these rockets is going to be a very difficult task. Taser starting to set up with SMG shield, possibly even going to ride cart once this flank clears out. Does get one kill on Hog Rider there. I think a teammate softened him up, and now there's no Supernova players left alive. AJ pushed in by himself. It's going to be a difficult task for Supernova to group up, but that's absolutely what they have to do. AJ cannot move in by himself. If he tries, he's going to get destroyed. Now Destroyer, smelling blood, moves in. Push does get the kill there, but we've hit a little bit of a calm here as Supernova is trickling in, and UNSC, every single time Supernova is about to get a group up, does move in one, maybe two players into just the right spots to stop that group up before it even starts. AJ gets a little bit of cart movement, doesn't quite get that kill on Sandman, but Push does finish the job, and now is going to go for the rockets, but Rusty stops him. Rusty killing Spud as well. Those rockets have not gone down once since they first got up. Supernova has just not been able to push past this front line of UNSC. It's a brutal hold here on the hill. Less than 2 minutes remaining and still not even fully up the hill. Barely able to get past the frontline defense of Sandman and Destroyer. Getting up in your face. Destroyer does not quite get that kill, but does get the health. His teammate follows up. And now they're starting to hold in a flanking position here. Supernova can't move through the alley, can't move through the water room, can't go anywhere. They need to do something together as a team. Maybe even just wait in spawn fully, because this cart is just not going anywhere. Spud does get a nice kill on the rockets, though, potentially going to make a little bit of space for his team. A good kill on Rusty as well. Nobody from either team is on the cart, but nobody from either team is quite in a position to hold it either. Now Taser trying to hold that objective while the rockets get set up. Does manage to do so. Only just now going down with the shield, and no dice on taking out those rockets. Those rockets are still alive. I like all of this cart stacking out of UNSC as well. That is really eating into Supernova's a little remaining time. 40 seconds left on the clock. Only 22 or so %. Still not quite within sight of this checkpoint. It is going to be the mother of all overtimes that gets them through this checkpoint, if anything. Push riding that objective. A little bit of a distraction goes on from his teammate. Good double kill out of Push, but the Rockets are still alive, unfortunately, and ends that streak before it can really get going. They're just not quite able to take out every single player that they need to in just the right moments. Good bit of cart riding there, but only 5 seconds left on the clock. Can Supernova even get an overtime here? Yes, they do get an overtime, but Sandman, looking to end any sort of quick rush, does stop the cart at 26.18%. UNSC 100 with minutes remaining at the end. Let's take a look at the end scores here. Over on UNSC, top scoring for the entire map is Destroyer 62 and 38, although Sandman 67 and 32 did get the top kills in this entire map. Meanwhile on UNSC, Spud slaying out for his team, 38 kills, 45 deaths, 4,400 score is going to be the top scorer over on UNSC. now we take a look here, we see for today's maps, Volcano is going to be up next. No server swap here. We're just going to be going right into it as soon as both teams have their players and their strat talks ready. I'm sure Supernova is discussing over what went well and what went wrong and how they can try and hold back UNSC here. It is going to be a difficult task, to say the least, to prevent a quick 3-0. Of all the maps, though, all the domination maps, I'd like to say, Volcano is the one that leaves the most opportunity for one player hiding in a corner to make the biggest difference. Quarry has a ton of corners you can hide in, sure. It's still a fairly quick map. Players coming out of your spawn can almost usually be relied on to prevent a countdown and counter at your own button. Not so on Volcano. If you just respawned and a countdown has just started, you have almost no chance of making it back to your button in time to hit a button holder hiding behind it, let alone multiple button holders. You can't make it to B either. You definitely can't make it to the enemy base. So you really have to rely on not everybody being wiped at once while holding different locations simultaneously. I know that sounds like every strategy for every domination map, since it is holding 3 buttons at the same time that starts a couple seconds of countdown and then scores your team a point. First team to 3 wins the map, for those who aren't aware. But on this map, it's a little bit different from Quarry and Waterway, at least I think so. It is less of a whole team moves forward as a unit, controls each button sequentially. It is not nearly as sequential, because there are so many paths in and out from B to either base, your base or your opponent's base. Lots of paths in and out. Lots of opportunity to steal different weapon pickups and dashes and help from your opponent, and also to sneak by any sort of defense that your opponent might be trying to set up. There's lots of ways that the enemy can sneak past your defense that you just can't quite do on Waterway or Quarry. You usually know where your opponents are coming from, at the very least, on these 2 other maps. On Waterway, because it's so open. On Quarry, because there's only 2 paths you can go. You could go through B, or you can go through the tunnel. Not so on Volcano. You can go through the close side ramp from your dash. You can go all the way through B itself. You can go the low side from B towards the enemy base. You can come from your base and go through the enemy dash. And skipping B altogether, you can go through their attic towards their dash. You can go across from your pillar towards the other side of pillar on B, and then straight towards the enemy base. There's just so many paths in and out. Most of them go through B, but not all of them. And keeping track of all of those pathways is something that you just can't fully do with 5 players. There are ways to do it with a lot of bouncing around, a lot of dedication to specific spots, but it is very difficult without a very controlled opener to fully roll out and roll over an enemy team on this map. And that said, if you get a good couple wipes... what? Oh, he's showing off a green spot. Wow. Very nice, very nice. Like I was saying, if separately all of your players can get a decent team wipe and catch some of the enemy players off guard, maybe freshly respawning, that's how you get the countdown. That's how you get the point on this map. Not holding back the tide that's all moving in one direction, but a real simultaneous and separate holding of each button, which is each button is played in a very different way. And I look forward to seeing how UNSC is going to try and take this quickly. Meanwhile, I'm looking forward to seeing what Supernova rather has in store to try and defend against these very strong players over on the side of UNSC. It's going to be a fun game to watch and to cast and to commentate over either way, as both these teams start to meet in the middle, seemingly looking almost ready to go. And we'll go ahead and refresh that Dash League overlay as well as we get started. Just a couple Supernova players, I think, that need to get their controllers and things in order. We still have a decent amount of time left between maps though, so no worries there. Giving them the signal that the cast is all ready to go as the players start to meet in the middle. And we are starting. UNSC versus Supernova. Volcano UNSC on red, Supernova on blue. Let's take a look at the opener for UNSC. First, Rusty, I suspect, going straight towards B. Meanwhile, Dark Ghost was going for that dash. Dark Ghost, by the way, I forgot to mention, was swapped in instead of Crusader. Frozen Galaxy also joining this match. Bill gets a kill on B, and a countdown for Supernova already does get immediately countered by Rusty, barely staying alive to keep the pressure on B. But Supernova seems to have the superior opener in this moment in time, and is doing pretty well for themselves. Has had at least 2 buttons for most of this match. Meanwhile, Sandman is going to go for Supernova's button, does get the hit there, and is going to inevitably get that dash. We'll have to contend with Bill sneaking through that low way towards their own button and does not know where Sandman could be. Finds him because he took out his teammate and grabs the dash too. Even if he doesn't get the kill on Sandman, that is going to hurt any sort of offense that UNSC could try to put out here. Dark Ghost gets the double SMGs, holds on the high rail too. Not enough players do that because you can see so much. UNSC gets the countdown briefly, and Dark Ghost is going to be popping in and out of this high rail, trying to defend Supernova's button. Meanwhile, unaware that Bill has been hiding behind so many corners. Dark Ghost is reinforced by one teammate there. It gets taken out, and the button is now Supernova's. Heading towards B. Hog Rider is going to be skipping B. I take that back. We're going to go back to Bill. Countdown for Supernova immediately ended by Rusty. The B defender of UNSC is going to have to prevent yet another counter as he contends with AJ. Comes out on top. Unharmed completely, actually, and Rusty is now going for a flanking position. It seems like UNSC's strategy is to try to get a handle on their own base and then B, while relying on Rusty to live there and pull attention away and just get quick counters until UNSC can get a handle on Supernova's base properly with either Dark Ghost or Sandman setting up. Dark Ghost going for that dash. Good call there. Does get the kill on Bill, who is not ready for him to play aggressive because he had brought down his health so low. But in the meantime, Supernova has B. UNSC has gotten their own base back. And AJ, with the armor, is going to have to counter. Does barely get the counter as Sandman secures that kill there. Gets killed in the end. Good kills by Spud as well on B. B going back into Supernova's favor, and this match has been very back and forth. I'm not sure that Spud... There we go. Spud just made aware that the armor has been taken. I think that's a 30-second respawn time for the armor compared to 10 seconds for pretty much everything else. Spud does get the counter on UNSC's base. I don't think UNSC is prepared for that. And now Spud, looking for any sort of kill or attention, does grab the dash. Instead is going to play very close to those UNSC players who meanwhile would be getting a countdown if they had their own base. I think they're just waiting for any players in the world to respawn, and meanwhile Supernova gets a counter because of that patience. Taser is going to be contending with 2 Supernova players in the meantime. Does not manage to quite take out either of them. His teammate does go in to reinforce, but Spud, dashing every which way, gets a kill on Sandman. And now a countdown for UNSC does get ended by Frozen Galaxy. Countdown for UNSC. Once again, I think I said Supernova earlier with that countdown. It was Supernova, then back to UNSC, and now back to Supernova. Comfortably countered by UNSC. Lots of players alive for UNSC. It may not seem comfortable, but lots of these players are well aware of the distance they are from any button at any given time, and none of them are freshly respawning. It has been a lot of counters by UNSC because of Supernova, so at this rate it feels like it's almost inevitable that Supernova will score the first point. And what is UNSC going to do then, considering how dominant that payload was? A lot of blue players trying to counter on blue, and barely was that button countered by Spud over in UNSC's base, desperately trying to dash every which way and stay alive because he knows that B is going to be difficult to contend with as UNSC starts to put more attention there. Frozen Galaxy, just as I was saying, moves in to try and lock down that snipe. Almost gets 2 kills there. AJ does get a skip. hits the button, is presumably dashing in and out of Rusty's vision here. Taser does take him out and rides that rail, looking for any players in the whole wide world to play with him. On the B button, finds two. Unexpectedly, Bill gets the kill there, does not get the button hit. There we go, backhand on the button. And the button has been hit once again. Gets that kill on Rusty as well. Supernova only having B at this moment in time. Good flank by Bill towards UNSC's base. Supernova now 2 buttons in their favor, but Dark Ghost has been holding things down, is going to try and put a little bit more pressure on Supernova's base, and that works out for the better so far, but Push is looking for that Dark Ghost, a double SMG player, is just going to try and waste his time, it looks like. Either waiting for Bill to move in and spot him, or there we go. Yeah, Push was waiting for Dark Ghost to run out of dashes, and Bill, it seems, was the sacrificial lamb. Meanwhile, the fight on B continues, and UNSC has slowly but surely been starting to secure more consistent double button holds. And by that I mean holding 2 buttons for an extended period of time, not necessarily holding it while there's no countdown. Another countdown for UNSC, starting and stopping over and over. There might be just enough time. No! None of the Supernova players were ready to go. All 3 of those players were out of position. The spawn is just too far away, and the first point is for UNSC. I wonder how they're going to adapt to Supernova's opener. Supernova can really lock in this opener and adjust little things about it. They might be able to get a quick countdown, maybe not a quick point, although at this rate, the countdown is for UNSC. Barely any players alive for Supernova, just the one at their own base. Sandman gets a kill on Bill, Kill Bill, and hits the button. And now UNSC is just waiting for that B button. But a little bit of over-aggression out of those 2 UNSC B defenders does end up losing them their lives. Decent position by UNSC does get ended by Push defending their own base, though. Taser looking for a player on B. Does not quite manage to get the kill. Seems to be pretty laggy. I don't think that's my end. And ends up dying in the lava from a lack of being able to dash. Meanwhile, Dark Ghost defending Supernova's base along with Rusty. No button hold, though, means that Supernova gets the counter. Only 2 players left alive for Supernova and not enough time to hit that button because they only just respawned. Rusty had the right idea there, holding that button, and the second point for UNSC. Not a whole lot of time has passed so far. You saw the time earlier. Supernova needs to hold on for a decent amount of time longer if they want a chance at not losing too much MMR over the second map with the way that first map went. If they can even get at least 1 point on the scoreboard, that is going to be props for them. But a countdown by UNSC already. Things are looking grim. Push does get that last kill necessary on B as well. Gets that armor, but UNSC looking more and more organized by the minute. Meanwhile, Supernova looking more and more harried and haggard as time goes on and those players are forced to split up their positioning. Eventually, Sandman is taken out, but Dark Ghost is back, changing to B for this life. Supernova only has control of B and their own base. A brief countdown, actually, except for Taser countering on B, although comfortably UNSC is able to get that button back in time to start putting pressure on their own base, and Sandman, alive in Supernova's base, is looking for a push, does win that fight, and UNSC Sandman is reinforced by Taser. Sandman rotates back to B, meanwhile. Moving back and forth between these buttons, it seems, just looking for kills. Can Spud get that counter on B? A double counter. Does give a little bit of time for the rest of Supernova to respawn and pick their objective. Sandman looks for that last kill, does dash onto a rail instead, and his teammate cleans up. But in the meantime, Supernova has gotten their own base back. Hog Rider, nice kill there. But Rusty steals that dash, not able to get away with it, and AJ gets a second kill as well. Is going to leave plenty of space for his teammates to try and take B back. Sandman circles back. It looks like Sandman is just one of the hunters for UNSC, looking for kills anywhere he can get it towards B and his own base, or no, the opponent's base rather. Does not get that last kill on B. There we go. Takes out push. UNSC has control of B and their own base. Is now going to put the pressure onto Supernova. Supernova moving. You can see on that mini-map 2 players getting ready to counter, but it is a 2v2, now a 2v1. Countdown for Supernova during all this. Yeah, pushes out just in time for Sandman to get a charge shot headshot. That was brutal predictive timing. And Bill does not turn around for Sandman, who throws his arms like, man, I did not expect to get that kill. Sandman's still alive over in Supernova's base, looking for that last kill. Does get taken out by Bill, though, and his teammate, who now gets Supernova's base back. A decent amount of time has been eaten up on this point, but this is around the time on the past 2 points that UNSC has gotten their act together and started some serious countdowns. Meanwhile, Supernova getting some pretty weak countdowns. They are countdowns nonetheless, but 4 UNSC players left alive. That one actually almost turned into a point, but there's too many UNSC players split in different directions, and I think that split direction of movement of trying to counter is what's really working well for UNSC, because Supernova only had a presence, a serious presence mind you, on the B button, at least it looked to me. And that is why UNSC just went ahead and skipped the B button. Countdown over and over again for UNSC does not turn into anything, and now it's going to be a fight for Supernova's base as Sandman rotates back towards B. I don't think Supernova is aware of it. Does have one player freshly respawning, is going to hit their own base just as Sandman moves in to grab that dash. Does not get the dash, does get the kill though. It's going to be low dash on their own button. Push, locks in, gets that kill on Sandman, waits for that last dash, is going to then move in towards that B button, I can only expect. Dodges that fight, and then goes back to re-engage, but finds nobody there to contend with him. A countdown for UNSC, and Push losing his life to Taser, who has the armor, and a hold on the B button since all of those blue players have been going for it, means that UNSC gets the 3rd point. No split focus, no ability or opportunity for respawning players to make any different choice, but the inevitable end on B means UNSC takes map 2 handedly. Let's take a look at those scores here. UNSC 3, Sandman, top scoring once again, and top killing over on UNSC. I think actually I misspoke. Top killing for UNSC, 40 kills, 23 deaths, 10,800 score. Close behind is Rusty with 10,000 score as well. Meanwhile, over Supernova, Spud, 32 kills, 29 deaths, top scores once again for Supernova. Very well played by Supernova, not quite able to secure any points here, but did make the match quite interesting. Nonetheless, it looked like it was anybody's game. UNSC today too strong, tomorrow, who knows? That being said, this match is over. I've been Notgollum. Thank you all for coming. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.